The English medieval time period followed the revival of England after the collapse of the Roman Empire. This was a time period where artistry was encouraged and England was bathed in rich Anglo-Saxon tradition, a system based on feudalism and the reign of the king with respect to the wishes of the people. Today, we will be reviewing three major aspects of this time period: the drafting and signing of the Magna Carta, the Norman invasion, and the Hundred Years' War. The Magna Carta was a written proposal between King John and the barons that would limit the power of the current king, in this case King John, and future rulers. The reason the Magna Carta was written was because King John raised taxes and requested more men to fund his military operations abroad, but he did this without asking the barons for permission. The barons were the tax collectors at the time, and it angered them that he was doing it without their permission. Eventually, the barons revolted, and they drafted the Magna Carta. Next is the Norman Conquest. The Norman Conquest was a campaign between two opposing parties, Edward the Confessor and Williams. The reason for the conflict was Edward unrightfully claimed heir to the throne, so Williams gathered between 4,000 and 7,000 Normish troops and fought back to take the throne. The story goes that on October 14th, 1064, the assault on the English cavalry had begun. The Norman cavalry tried as hard as possible to breach the English lines, but were unable to, and rumors started spreading throughout the ranks that suggested that Williams had died. This proved to be false, as Williams had reappeared and rallied his troops. In one final assault, the Norman cavalry was able to breach the English line and eventually slay Harold, striking him with an arrow in the eye, according to the Bayeux Tapestry. Williams ended up winning, and as a result he replaced many English tradition with Norman ones. The last conflict was the Hundred Years' War. The King of England wanted independent possession of the status of Duchy of Guienne. The conflict was sparked then, and it was England versus France. France happened to have a superior military and more funding, and therefore eventually won. That France ended up remaining the dominant state in Western Europe and were free from fear of harassment from the English and intervention in trade and politics from the English.